Off with 2.6, proving geometric relationships. 2.6, proving geometric relationships. So, starting off here, this is, don't worry about the flowchart proof, but one thing you do need to know, right there it is. Theorem 2.3, right angles congruence theorem. All right angles are congruent. Hey, if it's a right angle, they're 90 degrees, and if they're 90 degrees, they have the same measurement, which means they're congruent. I think that's kind of a postulate. All right angles are congruent to each other. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. Okay, then we have this next part here on page 107. This stuff you need to put in the notebooks. Put in your notebooks. Okay. Congruent supplements theorem states if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, or congruent angles, then they are congruent. So what this states is if this angle and this angle are supplementary, let's say this is 140, and maybe 150. If that's 150 degrees, if these are supplementary, that means that has to be 30 degrees. 30 plus 150 is 180. Supplementary means 180. Okay. Well, if that's 150, if these two angles are supplementary, that means if this is 150, that has to be 30. So if these two angles are supplementary, and if these two angles are supplementary, that means this angle and that angle are congruent. They're equal to each other, the same measure. And likewise, same thing for the congruent complements theorem. If two angles are complementary to the same angle, then they are congruent. If these two angles add up to 90 degrees, if they're complementary, and if these two angles add up to 90 degrees, if they're complementary, that means this angle has to be congruent to that angle. Let's say that's 70 degrees. If that's 70, and if these are complementary, 70 plus 20 is 90. Complementary means two angles whose sum is 90. If these two angles are complementary, and if that's 70, 70 plus 20 makes it 90. Therefore, this angle and this angle are congruent. These here, the linear pair postulate. There we are, right there. Right there, this one states if two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. Well, we already know that because the definition of linear pair are two angles that are, after the earthquake. Linear pair are two angles that are supplementary and adjacent. So we already knew that linear pair will be supplementary. Okay, these two have to add up to 180. Vertical angles are congruent. Vertical angles, again, it's not because of a vertical line, it's because it's derived from the word vertex. So vertical angles are congruent. So angle 3 and angle 1 are vertical angles. They're congruent to each other. Angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles. Therefore, angle 2 and angle 4 are congruent. They're the same measure. Excuse me. All right, let's get into part of the assignment. Okay. Explain why all right angles are congruent. Okay. All right angles are congruent. Well, all right angles have the same measure of 90 degrees, and angles with the same measurement are congruent. What two types of angles are formed by intersecting lines? Well, actually, it's three types. One is linear pairs, supplementary angles, and vertical angles. Linear pair, supplementary angles, and vertical angles. Okay. Number 3. Number 3. Nissan 1, 2, 3. Okay, this one, let's zoom in there a bit so we can get closer to number 3. Question 3, and that's gonna adjust the light so it's a little. Question number 3. Question number 3. There we go. There's question 3. Identify the pair or pairs of congruent angles in the figures. Okay. So we know that angle's 50. That angle's 50. And there's a little elbow there. That means that's 90. Okay, so if the angle here is, if I gotta scooch that out a bit here, right? Darn, I can't even see my own camera, it's in the way. If that's 90 degrees, okay, because it says by that little box, and that's a straight angle, that means this angle is also 90 degrees, because 90 plus 90 is 180. So the angle, whoa, stop. This angle right here, angle PSR, is congruent to angle PSM. PSM, they're both 90 degrees. They're congruent because the right angle's congruence theorem. If that's 50 and that's 50, that means those angles are congruent because of the same measurement. Angle NSM is congruent to angle PSQ because of the same measurement. Well, if this is 90 and that's 50, that makes that angle 40 degrees. And if that angle is 90 and if that angle is 50, then that angle has to be 40 degrees. So this angle, QSR, is congruent to angle NSP. Okay? And let's draw number 5. Number 5. Is it? I can't. There, I think that's there. Okay. Here we got two lines intersecting, and then we have line MK. This angle and this angle are and that angle are vertical angles, therefore they're congruent. So angle G, that angle is GML, and this angle HMJ are vertical angles, therefore they're congruent. And then you have this angle, that angle, and that angle are vertical angles. That means they're congruent. So angle GMH is congruent to angle LMJ, which is that angle, because they're vertical angles. Also, that angle is 90, and that angle is 90. So angle GMK, that's 90. Angle JMK is 90. Angles with right angles are congruent. There you go. Okay. Okay, next I'm going to zoom out here. Question 7. Question number 7 refers to this scissors. The measure of angle 1 is 143 degrees. So use the diagram and the given angle measures to find the other 3 measures. So we're just going to use this one. Okay, stop rocking there, baby. There we go. If angle 1 is 143 degrees, if that's 143 degrees, that means these are vertical angles. This is also 143 degrees. Okay, these are going to be a linear pair or supplementary. They have to add up to 180. So 180 minus 43 is 37. That angle is 37 degrees. And this angle and that angle are vertical angles. They're congruent to each other. So that angle has to also be 37 degrees. Then you do it again for question 8. Question 8 right here. In question 8 states, hey, Now this time you're going to do it again. The measure of angle 3 is 159. So you do it again and you say angle, yes, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you say angle 3 is 159. That angle's 100. Now for question 8, that's 159. What's this angle going to be? These are vertical. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Therefore, if that's 159, that's also 159. And then you have to figure out what angle 2 is and what angle 4 is. Okay. And then we have number 11. Number 11. Number 11. So we got number 11 right there. Okay. In exercises 11 through 14, find the values of x and of y. X and y. Let's just move these apart. If so, these two lines intersect. This angle and this angle are vertical angles, therefore they're congruent. So I'm going to write down that this angle, 8x plus 7, is equal to this angle, 9x minus 4. 8x, it's a plus 7, and 9x minus 4 are congruent to each other. They are congruent to each other. So you set them equal to each other. Okay, the vertical angles are congruent. Vertical angles are going to be equal to each other. There we go. So the rest of this is algebra. Here's the equal sign. What's the variable? It's x. What side is x on? It's on both sides of the equation. Which side has the larger value of x? The right side. I'm going to get all the x on that side. Anything that's not an x, eventually I want to get on that side. Whoa, sorry about the earthquake. Okay, so I need to get this x over there. Subtract 8x on both sides. And we get this. Okay, x is on the right side of the equation. Is there anything else on the right side? Yep, this. We want to move this. Remember, to get something to the opposite side, you always do the opposite operation. The opposite operation. Here we go, x, and that's 11. So x is 11. Find the values of x and y. We found the value of x. X equals 11. We still need to find the value of y. So we have, these are vertical angles. This angle and this angle are vertical angles. They're equal to each other. So we set 5y equal to 7y minus 34. Vertical angles are congruent. 5y equals 7y minus 34. 5y equals 7y minus 34. 5y, there we go. What's the variable in the equation? Here's the equal sign. The variable is y. It's on both sides. Which side has the larger value of y? That side. So get all the y's on the largest side. So to get positive 5y to the other side, you do the opposite operation. So we subtract 5y on both sides. And at the same time, just to make it a little faster, the opposite of subtracting 34 is adding 34 to both sides of the equation. That's a 2y. Cancel, and we have 34. Y is on the right side, except now we have to get this 2 to the other side. So right now, 2 times y, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by dos on both sides. We get 17. Y is 17. Y is 17. Okay, so y equals 17. Okay, now in a lot of your math classes, they'll accept this. In your science classes, this drives your teacher nuts. Because when I was in science, they said, that's naked numbers. 11 what? 11 units. It's not just y equals 17, it's y equals 17 units. Get it? Correct. So your science teachers aren't going to get mad at you. Okay? So there you go. Do you know how to do this? Good luck, guys. Bye.